Jeff had always loved motorbikes. As a young man, he spent hours in the garage with his father, learning about engines and riding. This passion grew into a hobby, connecting him with friends who shared his love for biking. They formed a club not for formalities, but for the joy of riding together. Now in his mid-40s, Jeff found comfort and belonging in these gatherings, which provided a much-needed escape from his turbulent life. Jeff's work dedication had strained his personal life, leading to a painful divorce and a distant relationship with his son. Seeking a new beginning, he moved to Cornwall, hoping to rebuild his life. The bike club became his sanctuary, a place to forget his troubles and enjoy friendship and the open road. On September the 19th, 1998, the club's annual barbecue was in full swing, with food and drinks flowing freely. More than a dozen motorbikes were parked among the dunes. This gathering marked the end of the season for the close-knit group of friends. Jeff, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a full beard, noticed her arrival. She stood out in a long denim skirt, thick sweater, and overcoat on this unusually warm evening, while others wore swimsuits. Jeff approached her and invited her to join their group. He recognized the signs of distress in her unkempt hair and sleepless eyes, a look he knew well. She declined and moved further down the beach. Back with his friends, Jeff faced teasing, especially from Lenny, who joked about his interest in her. "She's no bag lady, Lenny. Her clothes are expensive. She looks very troubled." Lenny, a stockbroker by day and a biker by night, was Jeff's friend and financial advisor. He put an arm around Jeff, saying, "She's not your problem. Come on back to the party." As the party continued, Jeff kept an eye on the woman. Despite enjoying the festivities, she occupied his mind. As darkness fell, the party broke up. When the last bike left, Jeff went through the dunes to where the woman sat. She appeared to be waiting for something. As the tide retreated, she walked towards the water. Jeff, sensing her intent, ran after her, stripping off his clothes. The water was over her knees when he reached her. He called out, but she ignored him. As the waves crashed on her thighs, Jeff swam towards her. She was about to throw herself into the tide when he grabbed her waist. Startled, she screamed and struggled. "I'm sorry, I can't let you do this," Jeff shouted over the waves. "Leave me alone. I want to die," she screamed back. "If we go further, we'll both drown. Is that what you want?" Jeff turned her to face him. "Let me go. I don't want to live anymore. If you go out there, I'll have to try to rescue you. I'm not a good swimmer, and we'll probably both die. Please save my life and come out of the water." She looked into his eyes, tears streaming down her face. Deep sobs shook her body. Jeff hugged her, and they stood in the surf, battling the waves. Then he led her back to the dry sand, picking up his scattered clothes. He knew he couldn't leave her there and had to get her away from the beach. He lifted the soaked coat from her shoulders. "I think this coat is ruined. The skirt might be salvageable, but the sweater is done for. You should change out of them before you get too cold. Here, put on my jeans and sweatshirt. I have a jacket in the pickup I can wear over my swimsuit." The woman looked at Jeff expectantly as she reached to unfasten her skirt. "Turn around, please," she said. Jeff apologized and turned his back, hoping she wouldn't run back to the sea. "It's all right, you can look now." He turned and burst out laughing. The jeans were too long, and she had to hold the waistband to keep them up. The sweatshirt sleeves covered her hands. "Sorry for laughing, but that outfit fits where it touches. Let me roll the legs up. There's some rope in the pickup we can use as a belt." Jeff knelt and rolled up the jeans until Helen wasn't standing on them. When he stood, he smiled at her. "Now that you've managed to get into my jeans, I think I deserve to know your name," he said. "It's Helen McAllister," she replied. "Nice to meet you, Helen. I'm Jeff Cockburn. Let's find you a belt and get off this beach before it gets cold," Jeff said. They walked to the pickup, and Jeff found a rope, threading it through the jeans and pulling it tight around her waist. They got into the truck, and Jeff turned it around. "Jeff, why are you doing this?" Helen asked. "Because I want to. And because I owe someone," Jeff said. He would have said more, but he saw something in the moonlight. A tall, athletic woman in a white swimsuit. She pushed her dark hair back as she strode out of the surf. Jeff reached out, shaking Helen's leg. "Do you see that?" he asked, pointing. "See what? I only see waves and sand," Helen replied. Jeff looked again, but there was nothing. He shook his head. "Jeff, are you all right?" Helen asked with concern. "I'm fine," he said, snapping back to reality. "Let's get you some fish and chips. I'm betting you haven't eaten in a while." Jeff drove to Padstow, glancing at Helen occasionally to gauge her state of mind. He hoped showing her kindness was the right thing. What do you mean, you owe someone? Helen questioned. Someone did something for me. I can't pay them back, so I'm paying it forward. Ask me about it later, Jeff said. Where are we going for fish and chips? Helen asked. They continued in silence until Jeff parked. He jumped out, opened Helen's door, and guided her to the shop. I thought you said fish and chips. This looks like a fancy restaurant, Helen said, confused. It's just a chip shop. The restaurant is across town. They know me here, Jeff explained. The man behind the counter greeted Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Expecting the crowd tonight? Brian asked. Not tonight, Brian. Just a table for two, Jeff responded. Sorry, Jeff. We're closed, Brian said. Jeff looked around the empty shop. Brian, I can see you're rushed off your feet. Can you put some cod and chips on a plate for the lady and a chip buddy for me? I'll even do the washing up, Jeff said with a grin. Brian laughed. You do the washing up? That'll be the day. Do you want any drinks? Brian asked. I'll have coffee, and the lady might prefer hot chocolate, Jeff said. Right, you two. Go sit down and I'll bring them over, Brian instructed. Jeff went to the toilet and returned to find the food on the table. Helen's eyes looked different, less dead. They think a lot of you here, Helen noted. Brian's a mate, a frustrated biker, Jeff said. The waitress spoke highly of you, Helen mentioned. What waitress? The restaurant is closed, Jeff said, puzzled. The one who wiped the tables? Tall, mid-30s, dark hair, brown eyes, nice figure, Helen described. Jeff looked around the empty restaurant. Point her out to me, he requested. She's gone now, but she said you were the nicest man she knew, Helen insisted. Jeff shook his head. The restaurant closed half an hour ago. All the staff have gone home. Brian is alone here, Jeff explained. I know what I saw and heard. She said good things about you, Helen affirmed. No doubt. Your description just sounds like someone I used to know, but it couldn't be her, Jeff said, shaking his head. Jeff nodded towards her plate. Eat up and tell me what you think, he suggested. Jeff glanced at Helen, asleep beside him in the truck. She'd enjoyed her meal but couldn't finish it, and now she was exhausted. When he parked in his driveway and turned off the engine, she didn't wake. Jeff gently closed the truck door, opened his front door, then returned to carry Helen inside. He took her to the guest bedroom, removed the rope belt, his jeans, and the sweatshirt. Despite her disheveled appearance, he found her beautiful. Covering her with a duvet, he whispered, Sweet dreams, fair princess, and left the room. Jeff locked up the truck and settled down with a glass of wine, pondering what had put Helen in such a state. He guessed it wasn't about money, judging by her expensive clothes. Memories of his ex-wife Jackie briefly surfaced, but he pushed them aside, focusing on Helen instead. He set her clothes to wash and went to bed, reflecting on the day's events before picking up his book. Just after midnight, Helen appeared in Jeff's bedroom doorway. I'm sorry, I was just checking it wasn't a dream, she said. Couldn't you sleep? Jeff asked. I woke up somewhere strange and panicked. Did you undress me? Helen inquired. Yes, but I left your underwear on. Your skirt is in the wash, Jeff replied. Thank you. I don't have anything clean to sleep in. Do you have something I can wear? Helen asked. I have some long shirts in the wardrobe and t-shirts in the second drawer, Jeff said. Helen took a shirt and went to the bathroom. Jeff heard the shower running and then felt the bed move as she climbed in. Jeff, would you hold me? I really need someone to hold me, she said. She sobbed as he held her. When she calmed down, they both drifted off to sleep. Jeff woke up alone, showered, and went to the kitchen, where he found Helen making coffee and toast. I was going to start breakfast, but didn't know what you liked. Do you have an iron? My skirt is full of creases, Helen said. Jeff retrieved the iron and ironing board. Egg and bacon okay for you? He asked. She nodded. As they ate, Helen frequently looked into Jeff's eyes, seeing both kindness and sadness. He tried to get her to open up. So, do you want to tell me what led up to last night? Jeff asked. I don't want to burden you with my problems. You've done more than enough. I should go, Helen replied. You can leave if you want, but it might be difficult in just your skirt and underwear. I'll drive you wherever you need, Jeff said. Jeff noticed a gold wedding band on her left hand, topped with a diamond ring. I see you're married. Do you want to call your husband and tell him where you are? He asked. Helen started crying again. Jeff immediately understood, stood beside her, and held her face to his waist. So it's husband troubles. What happened? He inquired gently. I don't have a husband anymore. He's divorcing me, Helen sobbed. Jeff took her hands and waited for her to stop crying. Is that why you went to the beach last night? Jeff asked. Partly. I'm usually the one people depend on. I lead a team of accountants helping clients with tax plans. Now I can't even handle my own life, Helen said. That's not silly. Divorce is as stressful as losing a loved one, Jeff reassured her. There were no signs. We were married for 10 years and trying to start a family. 3 weeks ago, he told me he loved someone else and moved out, Helen explained. But that was 3 weeks ago. What happened since then? Jeff asked. I saw him with her on Friday at Mother Care. She's pregnant. She's giving him the baby I couldn't. I felt worthless and unloved. I ended up here without thinking, Helen said, her voice trembling. Do you still feel that way? Jeff asked softly. I don't know. I don't think so. She squeezed Jeff's hands. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here. I owe it to both of us to make the best of it, Helen said, her voice stronger. Then we've got a busy day ahead. You need clothes, and you should talk to Angie, Jeff suggested. I lost my purse last night. Everything was in it. My ID, credit cards, and cash, Helen said. Does a motorcycle mechanic make enough to loan me some money? She asked with a weak smile. I'm not a mechanic. I own the dealership. Don't worry about the money. Who is Angie? Jeff explained. The blonde girl at the party. She's a top solicitor. She can help you with the divorce. You may not want it, but she can make sure you don't lose out, Jeff said. Is there anything you haven't thought of? Helen asked, half joking. Yes, how I'll ever wear that shirt again without seeing you in it. Now go dry your hair, pick a clean shirt, and we'll go to Nuki for clothes and shoes, Jeff said with a smile. Helen almost smiled as she went to get dressed. Nuki wasn't ideal for shopping on a Sunday, but they managed to find enough for a few days. As they drove, Helen observed Jeff more closely. His dark beard and gray hair suggested he was about 45. He had a strong, tanned physique, showing he spent a lot of time outside. She remembered feeling safe in his arms. What had possessed her to climb into his bed? Yet she felt relief when he turned away, letting her snuggle against his back. By 2 p.m., they had bought her clothes and shoes. They sat at a cafe, drinking coffee and making plans. Jeff called Angie and arranged a visit. After a light lunch, he gave her a tour of the area. Helen noted Jeff's confidence and the respect he received. She wondered why a man with so much going for him was alone and sad. At Angie's, Jeff left Helen with her while he and John, Angie's husband, talked bikes over beers. After an hour, Helen, looking tearful, asked to go home. On the drive back, Jeff decided to ask about her meeting with Angie. How did it go with Angie? Jeff asked. She said the same as you. I can't stop the divorce, so I need the best settlement. She suggested trying IVF with a new partner and using the settlement for that. She helped me see it wasn't my fault. My husband didn't leave me because I couldn't have children. He found that out after he started cheating, Helen replied. Helen then started to delve deeper. Jeff, who is Wellard? She asked. What? Jeff responded, taken aback. Angie said if I wanted to know you, I should ask you about Wellard, Helen explained. Wellard is me, it's a nickname, Jeff clarified. How did you get that nickname? Helen inquired. It happened at the St. Paul's Carnival in Bristol. It's a big event that draws a lot of people, but the National Front held a rally on the same day. There was some trouble, Jeff began. And you were involved? Helen asked. Not really. I don't look for trouble, but I can't ignore certain things. A young kid about 17 was attacked by some National Front skinheads. The police at the station did nothing, so I rode my bike straight at them. They scattered, but one came back with a knife. I knocked him out with my helmet. Angie, my lawyer friend, sorted it out with the police. The guy I knocked out was a repeat offender, Jeff recounted. But why Wellard? Helen pressed. Jeff smiled. The kid I helped said, "You is Wellard for an old guy." The name stuck, and my biker friends started calling me that, he explained. So you're not just my hero. You're everyone's knight in shining armor, Helen remarked. I'm just trying to do the right thing, Jeff said modestly. I'm glad you do. Whatever led me to your beach did me a huge favor, Helen said, leaning on his shoulder. Can I cook for you tonight? Of course, if that's what you want, Jeff agreed. She got excited feeling his muscles as she squeezed his arm. As she cooked, she kept glancing at Jeff, feeling drawn to him. She wanted him, but wasn't sure how to make a move. She thought about the previous night when he'd done nothing. Maybe he doesn't fancy me. She decided to take a chance and make herself vulnerable again. For the first time in 2 years, Jeff ate a meal at home that he hadn't cooked himself. He couldn't take his eyes off Helen as she moved around the kitchen. He admired her trim waist and remembered the sight of her lying on the bed. When they'd finished eating, she made him coffee and then kissed him on the lips. Jeff responded, pulling her onto his lap. They kissed passionately. Helen pulled away to catch her breath. "Well, that answers one question. You're straight?" she asked, a hint of teasing in her voice. "Of course. Who said I wasn't?" Jeff replied, surprised. "No one. People say what a lovely man you are, yet there's no woman in your life. I just wondered," Helen explained. "Are you happy now? You know I'm straight. You were at my mercy last night, but I didn't try to seduce you. Maybe you think I don't find you attractive," Jeff said. Helen shook her head. "No, I don't think that. I'm just glad to know you," she said softly, resting her head on his shoulder. Helen looked into his eyes, hoping he would say it wasn't true. She wanted him to take her in his arms and love her. She waited for his reply, holding her breath. "If I'd taken advantage of you last night, I'd have lost your respect. I turned away so you wouldn't notice what was happening to me. As for not finding you attractive, I think I've just shown that I do." Her heart raced. She wanted him, but wondered if she should make the first move. She loved his gentlemanly nature, but feared it might hold him back. She decided to act. "I'm glad. It makes this easier. You've been so good to me, and I need to ask another favor. Would you make love to me, please?" She looked down, her red hair falling across her face. Jeff could hardly believe it. It had been almost 2 years since he'd been with anyone. He thought about it and realized she was grateful to him. He struggled to respond, his face reddening. "Helen, I'm flattered, but making love is important to me. I don't want to do it out of obligation or gratitude. It has to be because we care for each other." Helen was silent for a moment. "I should feel insulted, but I don't. I'm not offering my body as a thank you. I'm asking because you're the most wonderful man I've ever met. My head is a mess, but this isn't gratitude. I want you. If you didn't care, you'd have left me to the police or a hospital. So I'll ask again. Please, Jeff, take me upstairs and make love to me," Helen said earnestly. She took his hand and they went upstairs to his bedroom. They stood by the bed, and Jeff kissed her. She looked into his eyes. "I've never kissed a man with a beard before. It feels soft and tickles my nose," she giggled. Jeff pulled her close, their kissing intensifying. They made love. "If I can stay here, you might not have to wait long," Helen said. She lay close to him, and Jeff put his arm around her. "I could lie like this forever. Can I stay, Jeff?" she asked softly. "You can stay as long as you want," he replied, kissing her. "I think I should take a shower." "Is there room for two?" she asked playfully. They showered together, returned to bed, snuggled, and fell asleep. Helen woke up looking at Jeff with love in her eyes. Jeff was woken in a way he'd never experienced. "Ooh, you're awake. I thought I'd have to start the party on my own." "Wow, you were right. It was better," she said, kissing him. "You were so good to me. I don't deserve this." "You think it's one-sided? You gave me the best night of my life," Jeff replied. "Helen, you deserve all I can give you, and more," he added. They kissed, and Helen got up. Jeff realized he would be late for work for the first time since buying the business. He wanted to enjoy his time with her. Over breakfast, they discussed their plans. Jeff had to work, and Helen planned to visit the bank to repay him. That night, Jeff found her distressed. The bank had refused her access to her accounts without proper ID, which had been in her lost purse. Jeff told her it was no problem, but she felt the need for independence. "I must go home, Jeff. I need to sort things out. I have a job, and my company will want to know why I missed work. I've canceled my cards, but replacements will be sent to my home. My passport is there too. Once I have it, I can prove who I am and access my money," Helen explained. She saw the sadness in his eyes as she continued. "Can you do me a favor and buy me a train ticket back to Radlett? I'll repay you as soon as I access my bank accounts," she asked. "The money isn't important, Helen. I don't want you to leave. I enjoy having you here," Jeff said, his voice filled with emotion. "And I love being here. Honestly, I think I'm falling for you, but I need to take control of my life. There's so much to do. Get my finances in order, deal with my possessions and clothes. Douglas has moved out, so I'm selling the house. You understand, Jeff? I have a new life ahead, hopefully with you. But I need to wrap up my old life first. This isn't the end, Jeff. It's more like the beginning if you want it to be. You know what I want." If getting you back means I lose you for a while, then that's what I must do, Jeff said with a heavy heart. That night, they were together again, and found it even better than before. The next morning, Jeff drove her to the station, feeling the weight of her imminent departure. They arrived just as the London train left. With an hour to wait for the next one, they settled in the station cafe. Jeff, when I asked why you helped me, you said you owed someone. It didn't seem like money. Can you tell me what you owe, and to whom? Helen asked, her curiosity piqued. Her name is Vanessa Richardson, and I owe her my life. It's nothing special, just something I can't repay, Jeff replied, looking down. You can't leave it at that. We have time. Tell me the story, Helen urged. Are you sure? It's a long story, and you might not like it, Jeff warned. Just tell me, Jeff, Helen insisted, leaning closer. Jeff took a deep breath and began. Okay, the story starts 2 years ago. I founded a software company, Cockburn Software Solutions, CSS PLC, right out of college. It took off because everyone was buying PCs and Windows made them easier to use. We developed commercial software like office suites and accounting packages. We did well and floated the company on the stock market, keeping 60% of the shares, which gave my wife Jackie and me control. We also gained a business partner with management expertise. Things were good for a while, but demand for our software declined. Even Microsoft was developing hardware. I knew we couldn't rely on our current model forever, so I explored new revenue streams. We focused on bespoke software for businesses and developing digital TV boxes. My partner Simon opposed these ideas, but with 60% of the shares, Jackie and I had the final say. This marked the beginning of our troubles. I traveled around the country securing contracts for bespoke software, neglecting my family. I was focused on the company's growth and could have sold the company for a lot of money, but I felt responsible for my employees and wanted to build something for my son. I didn't realize I wasn't giving my family the attention they deserved. Then I landed our biggest deal, a contract to develop firmware for digital TV set-top boxes. It secured our future. I was ecstatic and planned to make it up to Jackie with a holiday. When I got home, I was surprised to see Simon's car. Inside, Jackie, Simon, and my 17-year-old son Hyun were on the sofa waiting for me. I excitedly told them the news, but no one reacted. Simon finally said, "Sit down, Jeff." Confused, I sat down. He explained, "We've shut down the development section and laid off the staff. The company can't afford it, so we're sticking to what we know." On whose authority? I demanded. Jackie and I have a controlling interest. I'm the CEO. Jackie's hands rested on Simon's, showing support. We had an emergency shareholders meeting yesterday and voted you off the board, Simon said. We're profitable without financing your projects. This has nothing to do with you sleeping with my wife? I asked. The hand movement suggested more than business. No, that's separate. This is business. I'm grateful to Jackie for her support, Simon replied. Jackie added, He's right. Your spending was out of control. We had to stop you before you ruined the company. Really, Jackie? Whose bed were you in when he told you that? She handed me an envelope containing divorce papers citing irreconcilable differences. I won't take you to the cleaners, Jeff. You've been a good husband, but it's not working anymore. I hope we can still be friends. Friends? You steal my company, sleep with the enemy, and expect to remain friends? Did you ever know me at all? I hope you'll change your mind once you've calmed down. We still have our son to think about. We should try to get along. I'll be leaving with Simon tonight. Maybe you'll reconsider when we're gone. Half an hour before, I was on top of the world. Now it was falling apart. My 17-year-old son sat there, silent. Hyun, what's your part in this? I'm going to live with Mom and Simon. So he's taken my company, my wife, and now my son. Is that it? What do you expect, Dad? Everyone knows you're loaded, but I never saw any benefit. You made me go to the local school when you could afford private fees. That school made me what I am. No one owes you a living, son. You won a scholarship for the public school sixth form. No, I didn't. Simon paid the fees because you wouldn't. It's the easy route to top universities. So, you're selling me out for 2 years' school fees and a new car? I put my hand to my forehead. God, where did I go wrong with you? Simon and Jackie stood up. Simon turned to me. Jeff, I know this is a lot to take in. We should leave you alone for a while. He offered his right hand, but maybe he forgot I was left-handed. Strictly business, Jeff. Nothing personal. I gripped his right hand and punched him with my left, knocking him to the floor. "You've stolen my company and family. Of course, it's personal. Now get out of my house." I looked at Jackie. "Are you planning to marry him?" "Yes, as soon as the divorce is final." "Remember, Jackie, when a man marries his mistress, it creates a vacancy." "What do you mean?" "I'm sure you'll figure it out. Maybe Simon will help you." Jackie helped Simon up, and they walked out. Hyun followed silently. As I closed the door, I felt empty. My life had revolved around my wife and company since university. Later, my son became important. In less than an hour, it was all gone. On TV, people in my position reach for a bottle. I never understood that. I drink when I'm happy, and I certainly wasn't. I sat, trying to decide what to do, but no answers came. I wandered the house, trying to find something to feel happy about. It got dark, then light again, but it meant nothing. I heard the phone ringing somewhere, but I ignored it. I remembered holidays in Cornwall with my parents. Both were dead, but the happiness of those times pulled at me. I knew I had to go there. I walked out of the house. I ended up on the beach where I'd played as a child and where I met you. I didn't know why I was there. It didn't make me happy. It just made me miss my parents more. The tide was going out and I walked into the ocean. It seemed fitting to end my empty life in a place full of happy memories. As I walked further, suddenly she was there, standing in the sea. She was about 5'10", with long dark hair and a white swimsuit. She looked at me and spoke. "This is not the way, Jeff. Turn around and let's go back." "Why? What's the point? There's no reason to go back." "There is always a reason to live. There are things you have to do, people you have to meet." "What are you talking about? And how do you know my name?" "I'm talking about you. It's not your time. If you go further, I'll have to save you. Turn around and come with me." She offered her hand. "Come with me, Jeff." "Who are you? Do I know you?" "My name is Vanessa, and no, you don't know me. But I know you. Please come with me." I took her hand and turned to follow her. She walked gracefully out of the waves. I guess she was about 35. She led me to a house in the dunes, an old colonial-style bungalow. She took me inside, let go of my hand, and disappeared for a few minutes. When she returned, she handed me a towel and directed me to the bathroom for a shower. Still in a daze, I slowly moved to the bathroom. Suddenly she was there, helping me out of my clothes and into the shower. I just stood under the water, not moving. She joined me in the shower, washing my hair and hugging me as she washed my back. "You're in shock, but don't worry, I can fix you. You look like you haven't slept in days," she said as she led me to the bedroom. "We'll deal with that first." Still unclothed, she put me to bed. I woke up gently. It was dark outside. Jackie's arm was around me, and I thought it had all been a terrible dream. I turned to Jackie and ran my hand up her body. Something felt wrong. I reached for the bedside lamp, but it wasn't there. I panicked. "What's going on, Jack? Where are we?" The light came on, and I saw it wasn't Jackie. It was Vanessa. Everything came flooding back. Oh God, it wasn't a dream, was it? Vanessa took my chin and kissed me. "No, Jeff, it wasn't a dream. It all happened. But it doesn't have to be as bad as you think. Look at me, Jeff. Don't you like what you see? Yes, you're beautiful. Any man would be lucky to wake up with you, but you're not the woman I love. Are you still in love with her?" "I don't know anymore." "She doesn't love me." "Don't be too hard on her or yourself, Jeff. You know why he seduced her. The question is, do you want her back?" "I don't think so. She chose Simon over me. I'd always feel second best." She kissed me. "Never think of yourself as second best, Jeff. Now, are you going to use this weapon? Or do I have to wait another day?" "What do you mean another day? It's 2 a.m., you've been sleeping for 30 hours straight. I'm a normal woman with normal needs, and it's been a long time for me. When I share a bed with a hot man, I get excited." Vanessa pulled me closer and kissed me deeply. "I'm sorry, Vanessa. Can we take it slower? I'm not sure I can handle this yet." She smiled and kissed my forehead. "So that's not a no, just a not now. I need to use the bathroom." When I returned to bed, Vanessa was asleep or pretending to be. I got into bed and spooned her. I slept fitfully and woke at 7 a.m. to the smell of coffee. I saw Vanessa passing the end of the passage wearing a short silk robe. She brought 2 cups of coffee to the bedroom. Jeff hesitated, unsure how much to tell her. His mind wandered back to memories of Vanessa. She put his coffee on the nightstand and kissed him. "Well, that was a pleasant surprise," she whispered. "Your wife was lucky." "She thinks she still is with a new lover now." I know all about it, Jeff. It's her loss. How can you say that? I hardly know you. He lay down beside her. She stroked his face. And that's what you do for someone you hardly know. I can only imagine what it's like for someone you care for. Take my word, it's her loss. Now, how about breakfast and then a swim? Jeff was nudged back to the present by Helen. Yes, I made love to her for nearly 6 weeks. We went to the beach, swam, worked on our tans, and spent nights making love. Sometimes even in the middle of the day. In the evenings, we talked. I told her how empty I felt, having built a company and made money but losing my family and company. Vanessa wouldn't hear of it. She listed my achievements and the people who benefited from my efforts. Her desire for me boosted my self-esteem. I developed feelings for her, but she insisted a relationship was impossible. As the days shortened, she said she had to leave soon. The night before she left, we talked. She said I needed to go back and reclaim my life. You're not a man who gives up. You came here because you weren't in your right mind. Now you can take your life in a new direction. That night we made love tenderly. The next day she drove me to the station in her white Audi Quattro, an amazing car. We said our goodbyes. How will I know when you're back? I asked. Look for me on the beach. If I come back, that's where I'll be. So, said Helen, Vanessa is the person you owe, and I guess indirectly I owe her my life too. Yes, you could say that. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been on that beach. And if I hadn't been there, I wouldn't have recognized the look in your eyes, Jeff replied. And you couldn't let me do it because you owed Vanessa, Helen surmised. That's not entirely true. I could never have let you do it, Jeff corrected her. I know. Things are never that bad. I had to make you see that, Helen said softly. So what happened when you went back? And why didn't you ever find Vanessa? She asked, curiosity shining in her eyes. Jeff took a deep breath, preparing to share his story. This is where the story gets strange. I realized something was off on the train ride home. I bought a newspaper to catch up on the 6 weeks I'd been away, with no radio, TV, or papers. I was shocked to see that the stories from the day my life fell apart were still in the news. According to the newspaper, only 10 days had passed. I was convinced it was an old paper, so I went to find the newspaper seller. He insisted it was the current issue and pointed out the date. I checked my train ticket and it showed the same date as the paper. Embarrassed and confused, I went back to my seat. When the conductor came by, he confirmed the date on my ticket. I tried to accept it and continued with the crossword. I got home mid-afternoon to find my answering machine flashing. The first few messages were trivial. Then my secretary left a message asking me to call her urgently, even giving her home number. Then Jackie's worried voice pleaded for me to pick up. My solicitor left a message saying we needed to talk. More messages from my secretary followed, expressing her concern for my well-being. My wife, Jackie, left another message, saying she still loved me and needed to know I was safe. It was painful to hear. I knew I wouldn't call her back. I called my solicitor, Stuart McKinsey, who had been with my company from the start. He confirmed that Jackie and a man named Hamilton had tried to access company files, claiming I was no longer CEO. He had blocked them until he heard from me. Stuart also froze my bank accounts to protect my assets. I told him everything was true and arranged to meet him the next day to sign papers and discuss my options. Next, I called Janet, my loyal secretary. She was relieved to hear from me and explained how she wanted to quit, but stayed because she needed the salary. I assured her she did the right thing. We arranged to have lunch the next day, and I promised to help her find a new job. I even decided to give her my car. That night, I slept well for the first time since everything happened. The next day, I met Stuart, signed the necessary papers, and lifted the freeze on my accounts. He recommended a divorce lawyer to protect my assets. We devised a plan, and he assured me he would handle everything. Lunch with Janet was emotional. I gave her job leads and handed over my car keys. At the bank, I transferred half of the joint account to my personal account and surrendered my card for the joint account. I arranged for a charity to pick up the furniture from the house and listed the house with an estate agent. I bought a mobile phone and took a taxi to a hotel. The answering machine had another message from Jackie, begging me to talk to her, admitting she made a mistake. I knew talking to her wouldn't help, so I ignored the call. Within a few days, I found a furnished flat in UKI. Stuart found a broker to sell my shares in the company gradually to get the best price. Simon wanted to buy them, but I was determined to sell at market value. In UKI, I spent my time looking for Vanessa. I visited the beach daily, but never saw her. I found the remains of the house where we stayed, learning from a local that it had burned down a year ago. The local newspaper confirmed that Vanessa and her husband had lived there, but he had drowned himself, and Vanessa had disappeared. I realized Vanessa wasn't coming back in a way that allowed a relationship. I kept visiting the beach, feeling drawn to it. Eventually, I bought a house and an ailing motorcycle dealership nearby, indulging a passion from my youth. I spent much of my free time on that beach, waiting for Vanessa, even though I knew she wouldn't return, Jeff explained. Helen squeezed his arm. Did you ever see her again? She asked. No, not until the night I met you. I thought I saw her coming out of the surf just as we were about to leave the beach. It was only for a second, then she was gone, Jeff replied. Were you in love with her, Jeff? Helen inquired. No, I don't think so. I liked her a lot, and she was very beautiful. But I felt I owed her something. She gave me so much in those 6 weeks or 10 days, whichever it was. I'd have done anything to give something back to her, Jeff said, his voice tinged with nostalgia. Do you have her photo? Helen asked. Jeff took out his wallet and showed the picture he got from the newspaper office. Helen looked at it, and the blood drained from her face. I've seen her, Jeff. I've seen her twice. She was the waitress in the fish and chip shop. I met her again when you took me clothes shopping. She was in the fitting rooms and told me what a good man you were, Helen said, her voice trembling. Do you think she's looking after us? Jeff asked, his eyes widening. Well, if she brought you to me, I need to thank her again, Helen said softly. Maybe she didn't bring me to you, but she made sure you were there for me, Jeff suggested. The public address announced Helen's train. They walked to the platform and kissed like teenagers. Helen, are you really coming back? Jeff asked, holding her close. You bet I am. I have to sort everything out. I don't know how long it will take, but as soon as it's done, I'll be back, Helen promised. What about you, Jeff? You're not going to disappear like Vanessa? Helen asked, her eyes searching his. No, I'll be here. I'll wait as long as it takes, Jeff assured her. He kissed her again as she got on the train. A tear came to his eye as the doors closed and the train started to move. He waved until he could see her no more, then returned to his car and drove to work. On August 2nd, 2003, Jeff was in his element. He turned off the hose and admired his pride and joy. The Vincent Black shadow gleamed in the sunlight. Jeff started drying the paint and chrome work with a chamois leather. He noticed a taxi pull up, but didn't look. He knew who it would be. She'd been asking about him in UKI. She stopped on the other side of the bike and waited for him to get up. Jeff continued polishing. It's been a long time, Jeff. You're looking good, the familiar voice said. He stood up and wiped his hands with his rag. He looked her up and down. The past years hadn't been kind to her. She was about 20 pounds heavier, and even her face looked fatter. You're not looking so bad yourself, Jack, Jeff replied, his tone neutral. You don't need to flatter me. I know how I look, Jack said, her voice carrying a hint of resignation. So, what brings you here? Was the divorce settlement not good enough? I gave you $250,000 from the house. You kept your company shares. Stuart McKenzie said you were happy with the lump sum for Ian's child support. No, it's nothing like that. You were very fair, all things considered. Look, we can't discuss things out here. Let's go inside. For the first time since she arrived, he noticed she was carrying a briefcase. Curious, he invited her inside. She looked around. This is nice, Jeff. A good-sized garden, I see. And you've got 3 bedrooms? Or is it 4? Only 3. But you didn't come all the way down here to look at my house. What do you want? Jeff set the coffee machine going and waited. It's you I want. I've come to ask you to come back. Jeff stopped in his tracks, his mouth open in shock. Jackie laughed. No, I didn't mean that. I'm not asking you to come back to me, though I would if I thought it would work. I'd even beg. But I know I burned my bridges with those divorce papers. It wasn't until I lost you that I realized what I really wanted. You know the saying, you don't miss your water till your well runs dry. You lost me as soon as I guessed you'd been with Simon. You acted like lovers on that sofa. That was enough for me. How is Ian? I gather he's firmly hitched his team to Simon's wagon. I tried to stop him, Jeff. Really, I did. But he's an adult now. If he wants to change his name, I can't stop him. He still looks up to Simon, Jack said, her voice filled with frustration. Give him time. He's still young, Jeff replied calmly. He's had 7 years. I think that's long enough, Jack countered. What about you? I gather it didn't work out with Simon, Jeff asked, probing gently. Do you remember what you said to me as we went out the door? Jack asked, her voice trembling slightly. I do, and it came back to haunt me. When a man marries his mistress, it creates a vacancy, Jeff quoted, the words heavy with irony. It only took him a year to fill that vacancy. It didn't help that I was still in love with you. You never asked me why I did it. I've asked myself several times, and I still don't know. He was just so damn persuasive. The silver tongue doesn't cut it once you're spending all your time together. Once I caught him cheating, it was over, Jack confessed, bitterness seeping into her voice. So what's happening now? Have you found someone else? Jeff asked, curious about her current life. There have been a couple over the last 5 years, but they didn't go anywhere. You're a hard act to follow, Jeff. You were always a good husband. I was a fool letting that prick convince me you were playing around, Jack admitted, regret evident in her tone. I never did. You were all I wanted in a wife. I had no need for anyone else, Jeff responded, sincerity in his eyes. I know that now, but it's too late, isn't it? Jack asked, her voice softening with the realization. Yes, way too late. So this visit isn't about us. What is it about? Jeff asked, steering the conversation back to the present. We want you to come back to the company. We can offer you your old job back, and you'll have a free hand. You can take the company in any direction you want, Jack explained. You keep saying we, Jack. Who is we? Jeff inquired, suspicion creeping into his voice. The board and the bank. The company is in trouble. The bank won't lend any more money unless we put together a credible diversification plan. We've tried, but the clients don't believe we have the expertise to deliver. We need someone with credibility, Jeff. We need you, Jack pleaded. What does Simon have to say about this? Jeff asked, his brow furrowing. He's okay with it. But it wouldn't matter if he wasn't. He still only has 30%. Thanks to the divorce settlement, I have 35%. The rest of the board and the bank support me. I even brought a contract, Jack said, pulling a document from her bag and handing it to Jeff. Jeff poured the coffee and brought 2 cups to the table. He took a sip and addressed Jackie. What makes you think I want to come back? I'm happy here. I have friends here, and I don't need to come back. Come on, Jeff. You can't be happy running a motorbike shop. It allows you to indulge your passion, but it can't stimulate your brain. Jeff stopped looking at her and stared over her shoulder. She turned to see a Toyota MPV pull up. A slim redhead got out, opened the back door, and helped 2 copper-haired children out of the car. They walked towards the front door. Jeff got up and walked towards the door. Are you expecting visitors? Jackie asked. No, I'm not, Jeff said as he opened the door. 2 children ran in and grabbed his legs. Daddy, why didn't you come swimming with us today? The little boy asked. Jeff squatted down to talk to him. Because, little man, I was expecting a visitor who came all the way from London. Is she here now, Daddy? Asked the little girl. Yes, darling. She is sitting over there at the table, Jeff replied. Jeff stood up and hugged the young woman, kissing her. Jackie felt a twinge of jealousy seeing them together. We missed you at the pool today, Helen said, putting her arm around his waist. Are you going to introduce us? They walked back to the table. As Jackie offered her hand, Jeff made the introductions. Jackie, this is Helen. Helen, this is my ex-wife, Jackie. And these 2 are Daniel and Vanessa. He bent down to the children. This is the lady Daddy was married to before he met Mommy. Helen shook Jackie's hand, then embraced her. Nice to meet you. I owe you so much. Jackie looked puzzled. What could you possibly owe me? Him. These 2. My life, basically. If it wasn't for you, none of this would have happened, Helen explained. Well, Helen, if you're trying to make me feel like a stupid witch, you're doing a great job. I didn't see a wedding ring, Jackie responded, a hint of sarcasm in her voice. Once bitten, twice shy, Jackie, Helen replied lightly. Jeff, were you expecting me today? Jackie asked. After you booked your taxi last night, someone called to say you'd be coming. Like I said, I have real friends here who care about me. Now, what's the real reason you're here? Jeff asked, getting to the point. I told you I want you to come back, Jackie insisted. You can't have him back. He's mine now, Helen called from the laundry room. The company is in trouble, Jeff. We've been made an offer, but it's all or nothing. I only own 35% of the shares. Simon has 30%, and the other 35% belongs to 4 shareholders. They all want to sell. Even Simon is considering it. The bank wants us to sell to settle our overdraft. I really did come to ask you to come back. If you do, I can get the others to back me and the bank will give us more time," Jackie explained, desperation in her voice. "Sell, Jackie. Just let it go. Get the best deal you can," Jeff advised. "I don't want to. That company is my last link to our old life, Jeff. I don't want to," Jackie pleaded. "Let it go. Take the offer, Jack. Let the past go," Jeff repeated, trying to convince her. "They won't take on our debts. I'll be left with less than 100,000. Simon will have nothing. He remortgaged his house to buy some of your shares, then lost them to me in the divorce settlement. Please, Jeff, come back and help us rebuild the company. You've done it before. If we let you do it your way, we wouldn't be in this mess. You can't be happy being a motorcycle dealer. You're capable of so much more," Jackie implored, her eyes filling with tears. "Take the offer, Jack. I'm happy here. I like what I do. Yes, I'm capable of more than selling motorbikes. That's why I have my finger in so many other pies. Just go home, take the money, and move on." Helen came back into the room. "Jackie, I'm about to start lunch. Would you like to join us? I'm sure Jeff would be happy to drive you back to town later." Jackie looked at Jeff and realized she was wasting her time. "No, thank you. I must be going. Thank you for your time, Jeff." She took out her phone and called for a taxi. No sooner had Jackie left than Helen walked up to Jeff, put her arms around his neck, and kissed him. "You are a very naughty man, Jeff Cockburn. She doesn't know, does she? And you're not going to tell her, are you?" "Right on both counts," Jeff said, grinning. "The last time I found something that amusing was when my ex-husband's baby came out brown. Of course, you getting me pregnant made it all the more enjoyable. Like you said, I'm a very naughty man." On September 29th, 2003, some employees of Cockburn Software Solutions noticed the bearded guy at the back of the lunchroom looked familiar, but their main focus was the slim redhead beside him, looking elegantly hot in her two-piece suit. Helen waited for everyone to assemble and close the door. "Ladies and gentlemen, you know CSS has been experiencing financial difficulties. I'm pleased to announce that as of 9 a.m. that uncertainty has been removed. This company has been taken over by Wellard Data Services." She paused as whispers spread through the room. Wellard is a company built over the last 6 years to address the need for online data storage foreseen by our founder. We own 2 large server farms, one in Reading and one in Edinburgh. Much of our business comes from companies wanting to disaster-proof their data. We've acquired CSS to add value by providing online bespoke programs. This won't yield immediate profits, so we need to release assets tied up in this company. To that end, we are selling this building and relocating to Truro. "No way!" shouted a voice from the crowd. "Excuse me, sir. You are Ian Hamilton, project manager, and there's no way you're moving us to the back of Beyond. I'll take it to the board if I have to." Jeff stood up. "What code do you write, Mr. Hamilton?" Ian thought he recognized the voice, and the bearded man looked familiar. "I don't write code. I'm a project manager." "Well, Mr. Hamilton, all our project managers also write code, so the invitation to move to Truro with us won't be open to you. As for taking it to the board, you just have. I own Wellard, and now I own CSS. Again, I am the board, Mr. Hamilton. What I say goes, and I say we move to Truro. We will get enough from the sale of the London properties to pay salaries until we develop new products. If you visit Human Resources at the end of this meeting, they will tell you about the statutory severance package." Ian now knew who he was dealing with and left the room. Jeff continued, "If anyone else feels the same as my son, you're welcome to join him. We hope to take most of you with us, but that's your choice. We will offer a generous relocation package. As Miss McAllister mentioned, this building will be sold, along with the 2 company flats occupied by young Mr. Hamilton and another young lady. We're bringing in our own management team. You've met Miss McAllister, our chief accountant. Some of you who've been with CSS for 7 years or more will recognize the returning staff. Mr. Simon Hamilton and Mr. Cockburn no longer have roles here. I'll meet with all department heads this afternoon to outline the way forward. If you have questions, Miss McAllister will answer them. Thank you." Jeff left the room and found Simon Hamilton in what had been his office. "Good morning, Simon. Packing up?" he asked. "Well, I wasn't, but if you want this office, I'll move. Nice beard, Jeff." "If you hadn't spoken, I wouldn't have recognized you," Simon replied. "Yes, I'd like you to vacate the office and the premises," Jeff said firmly. Janet, Jeff's old secretary, handed Simon a box for his belongings. I thought you'd keep me on. It'll cost too much to get rid of me. I'll enforce my contract, Simon threatened. Simon, you should have read the sale contract. The previous owners are responsible for senior management contracts. You'll be suing yourself if you try. What's the problem? You got 85 grand from the sale, Jeff pointed out. Yeah, and I owe more than 4 times that on my house. I remortgaged it to buy some of your shares, Simon admitted, frustration in his voice. I wouldn't worry, Simon. You'll get another job soon. Maybe my son will share his redundancy pay with you since you shared your name with him, Jeff said sarcastically. You haven't fired him, have you? I can't believe you'd be that vindictive, Simon said, shocked. I didn't have to. He fired himself saying he wouldn't go to Truro, Jeff replied coolly. Simon packed his things while Jeff waited. He picked up the box and moved towards the door. This is all strictly business, nothing personal, Simon said, considering shaking Jeff's offered hand, but remembering the broken nose from last time, he decided against it and left. Jeff sat at his old desk, running his hands over the leather top. Janet knocked and entered. It's so good to see you back where you belong, Janet said warmly. Thank you, Janet. It's good to have you back. Was your last employer sad to see you go? Jeff asked. They offered a generous raise, but I knew who I wanted to work for, Janet replied. I'm glad you're with us in Truro. Is it okay with your husband? Jeff asked. Oh, yes, sir. We plan to retire in Cornwall. Now we're empty nesters. There's nothing keeping us here. He's already been offered a job, Janet explained. Janet, don't you think you've known me long enough to call me Jeff? Jeff suggested. I couldn't do that, Mr. Cockburn. It wouldn't be right. Is there anything you need, sir? Janet responded. Not now, Janet. Take an early lunch and be back by 2 p.m., Jeff said. Yes, sir, thank you. Janet returned moments later. Miss McAllister is here to see you, sir, she announced. Send her in, Janet, and then go to lunch, Jeff instructed. Helen walked in, smiling. Jackie was right about one thing. That woman's sweet on you, she teased. She's a great secretary. That's what matters, Jeff replied. I suppose this makes you my boss now. I have a fantasy about my boss where I make a mistake and he punishes me for it, Helen said playfully. How does he punish you? Jeff asked, amused. I'd leave that to him, sir, Helen said, her eyes twinkling. Jeff stood up. I'm sorry, sir. I'll try to do better, but I have to be punished, don't I? She continued, pretending to be contrite. Indeed you do, Jeff said, slapping the other cheek with a smile. Whatever you say, sir. You're the boss, Helen replied, enjoying the game. Now, Miss McAllister, I hope you've learned something from your mistake, Jeff said, continuing the role play. Oh, I have, sir. I've learned that I'd better make more of them, Helen said, leaning in closer. And what would your husband say about that? Jeff asked. I don't have a husband, sir. My partner was too damaged by his ex-wife to try again, Helen replied. The man's a fool. Why don't you marry me? Jeff proposed suddenly. But what about my children, sir? Helen asked, pretending to be concerned. I'll adopt them. He pulled her close. In that case, sir, the answer is yes, Helen said. They laughed at their role-playing and shared a kiss. They were interrupted by the door opening. A tall, elegant woman with a ponytail and a black suit smiled at them. Vanessa, they said in unison. She smiled, blew them a kiss, and left. The couple looked at each other. That was her, wasn't it, Jeff? Helen asked, her eyes wide with wonder. He nodded. You saw her too? She was real. I didn't dream her. If she wasn't real, we both had the same dream. I think she was saying goodbye. Maybe she thinks we don't need her anymore, Helen suggested. Now I'll have to be your guardian angel, Jeff said, pulling her closer. Only if you'll let me be yours for the rest of our lives, Helen replied, her voice soft and full of love. It's a deal, Jeff said as they locked their lips in a passionate kiss.